Yay! Hi everyone, can you see me okay? Just checking in. All right, you guys, we've got our instant teleseminar up. We're all technologized. I want you to know that Rob Teichman is the one who's doing our technology this evening. And I want you to know that I, by no stretch, am any kind of technology person. So I want to show you the kind of technology that my love and assistants, my assistant downstairs has granted me. That love and assistance is basically two angels on either hand. So she got some stickies and pasted them on my hands, and that is my that is my technology for the day. So guys, hi everyone. I can see a whole bunch of people joining from all over the world. I just wanted to say hello to people in Ontario and Hawaii and Arizona and the UK and all over the world. And for those of you who are on the live webcast, please go into the chat and say hello to us so I can see. I see all sorts of old friends and a whole bunch of new ones. Welcome, everybody. So happy to have you today. I wanted, because I know there's a lot of new people that are going to experience the call today, I want to give you a sense of, first, how to powerfully listen and how to really get the most out of our experience together. It's going to be real easy to listen to this conversation and try to intellectualize it. Remember, and let me give you a little bit of background. For me, Quantum Wake-Up Calls came about when we were doing our programs, and so much would shift in their lives, and there was no place to go afterwards. And we created Quantum Wake-Up Calls in order for people to be able to have life-changing, globe-changing conversations. And it's funny because, you know, a lot of the people that listen to do our work, that do our workshops, that come and play, are people who felt like they're in the Not Belonging Club. They felt like they see life a different way. They felt like they've been able to see things from 30,000 feet, and they wonder why everyone else doesn't see it that way. They felt like there's a degree of harmony available on the planet, like I did when I was little. And I watched my parents, and I watched them talk about politics on television, and I thought, why don't they just talk to each other? And it's so interesting to me how all of that, you know, at the time, I just thought I was the weird one. You know, I thought I was the weird one that knew that something else was possible. But as it turns out, all of those people are a very, very unique subset of humanity. We are a subset of humanity that really is here to, we're actually here to question everything. We're actually here to turn conventional thinking and transmute it, not turn it on its butt, not rebel against it by any stretch at all, but to work within it to become a bridge. So, and what I mean by bridge is there's a lot of paradigms right now in money and politics and in the way we interact with each other and the way that relationships happen, and they're very polarized, very based in duality, very based in right, wrong, very based in the right way and the wrong way, very based in strategies and steps. And none of it is based on the human innate instinct that we were born with, where we can go direct with all of consciousness and know exactly what to say or how to move energy for hundreds of people or one person that's in front of us, how to have the confidence to be able to transcend the need for drama and to have the confidence to be able to know what there is to do or not do in any situation. It's about awakening. It's about waking up to who we really are. So for me, as someone who knew very early on as I was debating religion and spirituality in the hallways of my high school with the Jehovah's Witness, is not just one, lots of them, And we were having these very powerful conversations at 17 years old. I knew that there might be something up with me. And although I completely followed the conventional path in my life, and don't worry, in a couple of minutes we're going to get on and you're going to see, you're going to feel, you're going to sense, and that's why we're setting it up this way, sort of the shifts that are possible for that beautiful, glorious, what I have called not belonging club. But what happened to me is I graduated from economics and sociology. I went from economics and sociology into a very big international, global company, multinational. And I worked as a purchasing manager, believe it or not, again, purchasing chemicals and doing lots of spreadsheets and negotiating contracts with manufacturers. And as it turns out, that was all an amazing launching pad, because what it did is it gave me a very good feel into how the world works, what's going on. I could embody, I could sense, feel, and be immersed in a world where it actually wasn't anything like what I had imagined that the world could be. So what happened with me is that I decided that I would make a shift. And I was actually in the middle of a performance review, and I made the shift in the middle of the performance review, and out of my mouth, without really paying attention at all, was, I need to leave. And my interviewer thought that it had to do with going to the bathroom. And I told her, no, it doesn't have to do with going to the bathroom. It actually has to do with, I don't think I can work here anymore. I think I have to go to something else. And I have to tell you, I in no way was what I considered spiritually connected or any kind of connected. I was in no way, having a deep understanding of life. This was 30 years ago. I was in no way, I really, it was a very follow the rules time of my life, all the way up to marrying the president of a company, having cars, houses, big property, and I got to tell you, it has nothing to do with being fulfilled or being happy. And when I started having wakened dreams showing me how it was that we, and when I say we, I really do mean humanity, how we could bring to fruition a degree of fluidity on this planet that's available to us, a degree of compassion, a degree of understanding, but it's not just that. A lot of people talk about love and smushiness, but what we're talking about here is the pragmatics. I'm not, I'm a very lovey, snuggly, smushy person, but at the same time, if you can't live in a body on a planet, really, what's the point? There are still bills, there's still an infrastructure, and to be the bridge, it's bringing all of who you are, expressing that piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth that the entire universe knew you were before you got here, taking the pragmatics of how you actually integrate how to be an awakened person but in the real world. It isn't about removing yourself from the rest of the world. You're a bridge. You have to be in the rest of the world. For a lot of you, that's why you haven't yet been removed from the places that you've been working, because it's actually presenting to stay there, but actually remembering yourself is going to give you so much more power within that space, and having the practical tools to be able to emanate all of who you are is going to be very powerful. And that's what quantum wake-up calls are for. When I left the corporate world and started to have wakened dreams about being able to see multidimensionally, being able to see holographically, I could see people, I could see the world, I could see the universe. It completely freaked me out. To this day, actually, I would say that it still freaks me out. All the way down to galactic star seeds. I mean, we can go right down the rabbit hole. But you see, what we're going to do right now together, even with those who haven't listened yet but are going to be listening, is the collective energies of all of us are asking questions. They're wanting things to be known to all of us. And the depth of your questions and wanting to know, and the expansive nature of your feeling of urgency. That's another characteristic of the people that tend to join us. They have a sense of urgency to go beyond standing still with any one body of wisdom, because they know that consciousness is constantly expanding. Nothing that we do stands still. This is not about finding a body of wisdom that will have you be able to stand still, because that is contra the way the universe works. The universe is always creating upon itself. But what it does do, everything we do, is around being able to give you the tools and the understanding and the peace of mind to be able to dance directly with the universe as it expands, so life can be fun, so it can be delicious, so that you can have a great time. And so quantum wake-up calls are sort of an entry conversation to all of the expansive things that we at the Wide Awakening are up to. And it doesn't matter where you are in the process. I am going to ask you, as you listen, to listen from a place of not already knowing what we're talking about. You may absolutely, completely resonate with what I'm saying, that you know that creation is expanding upon itself, but I want you to know that even the words that get said, and even right now, I can feel the connection between the collective and our conversation right here. Thinking in the middle of my corporate days, if I were to say that, I would have got fired anyways. You know, I've got 2 angels on my hands. Hello. But what I'm sharing with you right now is this, that if you can listen, because as the collective comes through, it's all of your higher levels, all of your guidance realms, all of the other dimensions than 3D of you, and I, and the cheerleaders for humanity, coming through to assist in a way that, you know, there are various and sundry different aspects of consciousness coming through different people, Bashar and Cryon and all sorts of things. Think of this conversation as for the Heaven on Earth construction crew, those that want to embody their innate abilities and be able to get out of the way of all the densities that have been running their lives, so that they can actually fully embody with the reason why they're here, given that the entire universe, considered all things, every star system, every planet, every universe, every species, everything that ever was, every contrasting situation and war and hardship that any person on this planet has ever been through, and every prayer that ever went out, and then decided in a time of great change that you, in fact, were an agent of that. You, in fact, were the universe's good idea. That's what it means. You're here to bridge. And my job is to assist. Big time. So I want to say hello to Julie, even in Bimini, the center of Atlantis, where we're going to be going this year, and so many others who are joining us from New York, my buddy Deb, and Manisha, my love, all of you. Thanks for joining us, and big hugs. The more questions you ask, the juicier this gets, and with your permission, of course, Rob, our technical person, will bring you live if you're on Google, on the Hangouts, on Google Hangouts, if you're watching me. If you are listening on Instant Teleseminar, if you have a question, of course, you can put your hand up. How you do that is by pressing *2. What I'm going to do right now is the first little bit of this is going to be a channeled session, but I'm just address some people that are on the phone right now that have their hand up. Over in Sedona, who is that?
Hi, that was the person who pushed the wrong button.
Okay, well, maybe you pushed the right button. I'm giving you a big hug.
Oh, thank you.
And who is this?
My name's Jan.
Hey, Jan. Well, we're actually going to be in Sedona next month, so we'll see you there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very cool. Cool, cool. All right. And over in Worcester, in the 508 area code.
Hello.
Hi there. Did you have a question?
Hi. I did. I guess I'm wondering. You had mentioned too that you think some of us might be still in places just to maybe hold the light or hold the space, and I'm wondering if there's any way how would we know that? Because it seems I'm trying to move and do things and leave, but it's not really working easily, and I don't know if I'm just supposed to stay.
And what's your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Ellen.
So, Ellen, may I?
I'm actually in Hilton Head, South Carolina. That's where I am now.
Oh, very cool. Well, this month we're also going to North Carolina, so there you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Okay.
So may I just go on a little riff here for a second? And this is where we're going to begin with Ellen, you guys. So if you guys can, if everyone can breathe, what I want to introduce you to is a concept that's really important, and that concept goes something like this. Everybody breathe for a moment. The reason I want you to breathe is because how to experience the entirety of a quantum wake-up call to get the most benefit out of it is that you listen actually cellularly, not intellectually. If you try to intellectualize what we're talking about, even right now, trying to intellectualize me talking about intellectualizing, having you think about thinking, is actually going to take you out of the experience. You're going to be able to listen at the speed that I'm speaking, and I promise you, for some of you, it's going to drive you nuts. I'm going to ask you to stay with it no matter what. For some of you who it really drives nuts, you're going to fall asleep because the energies are going to move so fast that it's going to actually be activating you, and it's better if you actually shut down and let the energies operate on you, let the upgrades operate on you while your intellect is out of the way, while your mind is out of the way. Does that make sense? So what that means is the collective energies of what we're talking about, the frequencies that are involved, the guides, the angels, the galactic love and assistance, what I like to call your cosmic love and assistance team, I know this sound, and even as I listen, it's like, oh my God, this woman is completely fruity. She is, and the funny thing is, half of you think, no, that's my language. And the other half of you are thinking, that is so not my language, but for some reason I still want to listen. And what I want to say to you is this. You know there are multidimensional aspects of you. You know it because when you walk in a room, you can feel the energy of the people you like and the people you want to stay away from, and you can tell because you can feel it. You have instincts, you have intuitions. Well, what I want to share with you is some science that many of you have heard if you've been on a quantum wake-up call before, but I'm going to describe it more deeply, and for those of you who haven't heard this before, I think it's very important, and then we'll be able to answer Ellen's question. Your question, Ellen, if I'm hearing you correctly, goes something like this. Your question is, I'm not really sure what I'm doing or how to actually be the change. And I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, and I'm not sure if what it even looks like. Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. To answer that question, we're going to go big, okay? All right. So you guys, the first thing I said was, let's see, and Ellen, I'm going to come right back to you after I go on a little rant, okay? We're going to just download some stuff here. So everybody just breathe. Get in your body, regardless of however you're perceiving what's going on right now. I just have the experience, just for interest's sake, for some of you are so leaned in, I could feel it. You're just, okay, here we go. Okay, you guys. All right. So each of you is a piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth. How do I know? Because you're here. Let me say that again. You have to be the universe's good idea in 3 dimensions because you're here. I want to say something. You are absolutely and completely, just going to shake your tree, not your parents' children. You are the idea you were born from the contrast that has been on this planet, from the wars, from the difficulties, from the various, Joan of Arc or witches or who Jesus is or Buddhas or whomever. Their energies, their essences were trying to emanate a deeper harmony because they were very integrated beings. And those integrated beings could see from 100,000 feet, looking at the world and understanding that it doesn't have to be the way that it has been. They understood this because the innate abilities from other dimensions, in other words, they're the three-dimensional you, your eyes, your taste, your touch, your smell, all of these things, the taste. Those are three-dimensional skill sets that you have. Jesus even went on a roam around to Egypt and India and various places, and in going on that roam around, found out from the mystics that we had the ability to go through our pineal gland to actually see energies. He found out how to spontaneously heal. These are all innate human abilities. And each of those masters were trying to say, you can be like this. I'm trying to show you. Now, what the hell does that mean? Really? What does that mean? Trying to show me what? And what I want you to know is by virtue of the fact that when you were younger and even now, you can see what's really going on and you can see what people are doing. You can see the energy of what's happening, who's incongruent. But without the skills to be able to move the energy or those innate abilities that those masters had, it basically becomes a world where you do one of three things. One is you disappear. You basically remove yourself from the world, live your own little piece of the puzzle of your life, and you don't connect with a lot of people because not a lot of people understand you or get you. Or you're out in the world actually just emanating tons of stuff and having a ball and having a blast, and you don't give a rip what anyone thinks, but you still don't feel that connected with a lot of people. Or the third thing is you become incredibly rebellious, right? But what you're here to do, by virtue of the fact that you could see what was, you could see that certain conflicts just required a conversation instead of righteousness. You could see that, but what do you do about it? And how do you know what to do? And where can one measly person start? And by the way, this is a much big, again, I'm going to ask you to let go of what you think you already know. In order to hear this fully, you're going to have to let go of the answers you already have in your mind. Because what I'm going to share is going to be quite different. For some of you, really different. So first of all, what we have to understand, this is for Ellen and everyone, first of all, what we have to understand is biology. After I left my big multinational company, I got extremely sick on purpose because everything, I just want you to say this right up front, every single thing that happens to you happens for you. There isn't a thing that happens that doesn't happen for you. Now, if you consider that, that means if you look at everything that's going on that you're resisting, it would transcend the need to fight with it, and it would instantaneously put you in the mindset of, oh my God, if it's happening for, the only question is, how could it be happening for me? Now, you don't even have to answer that question, because over days, months, weeks, years, you're going to find out why it's happening for you. At first, we have an inclination to want to know why, so that our mind can be at peace, so we can lean into what life is delivering us. If I just knew why, then I would lean into it. But you see, the work that we're doing here and that we're going to address tonight, and I just feel what's happening. Even now, you'll start to feel a little bit of a buzz in your body as we're talking. The work we're doing here is not about excavating all the things that are in your way, because we could spend the next several lifetimes doing that. There's a faster way to get on with who you are and why you're on the planet. and that is to activate the truth of who you are. By the end of this quantum wake-up call, not my intention, but what we are going to do is have you have a direct experience of a much more expansive nature to who you are. Now, I know a lot of you already know that you're expansive, but we're going to take it to yet another dimension. We're going to take it to another depth. So again, I'm going to ask you all to let go of what you think you know, because we got to answer Ellen's question by the end of the hour, right? All right. What happens to me when we're communing like this too is the collective, in my world, what I've discovered and what I keep being shown is I'm integrating with all of the higher levels that every day, all the time, as I embody more and more and use more and more, I become a fully integrated human being, which, by the way, everyone can do. This is not the Enlightenment Olympics. This is about everyone experiencing this. This is not about there are better thans and less thans, and for God's sake, don't give your power away to me, or for that matter, to anyone else. Because anything that anyone else is doing, you are capable of. You want to go to the people that are teaching you how, not the people that are acting, there's no one above you. Okay? My job is not to show you how brilliant I am. My job, which is why we do the programs that we do, and it starts with quantum wake-up calls. This is the beginning. My job is to actually show you how you can integrate with all of yourself so that you can feel the confidence, so that you can see, Ellen, how you can move the energy, so that you can see how you are the bridge, so that you have the tools to be able to do that, okay? And as I said, this is a beginning conversation. But the first place to go in all of this, and I want to make sure, so this is everybody breathe. I'm going to tell you how to listen so that you can have an experience that gives you, 100 times the juiciness of just listening to me with your ears. So in every single person, you have between, depending on who you ask, 30 trillion and 100 trillion cells. I don't know why biologists vary so much in their definition of how many cells we have, but let's say it's somewhere in there. I'm going to say 75 trillion, okay, just to average it up. 75 trillion cells, give or take a couple of trillion. Now, what does that have to do with you being here right now? Well, in the middle of those 75 trillion cells is DNA. DNA, most people think to be a roadmap. Now, in the DNA, there's a twisted ladder. The twisted ladder that we all know, the twisted ladder that, probably you recognize, and if I was to draw it, it would look like this. And even me drawing it is on purpose because it's an activation of sorts. As I draw it, for me it's an activation, but also, so, it looks something like that for those of you that can see. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, on the ends of the chromosomes in those DNA, and I'm not going to get too technical, on the end of the chromosomes are telomeres. And I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about this. Trust me, we have a lot of things to get to. But those telomeres are basically sender-receiver satellite dishes. Those sender-receiver satellite dishes have sat there for eons with scientists thinking that they are strictly for communication between the trillions of cells that you have, which, by the way, all by itself is a huge job. Have you ever wondered how your cells all know what to do without you? That is a huge job. I mean, 75 trillion is 10,000 times the number of people on the planet being orchestrated in perfect harmony. Kind of interesting that 75 trillion could be orchestrated in perfect harmony, but this planet seems to struggle quite a lot with that. But there's a clue in here, and this is why you're here. This is why you're on the planet right now. So, what was discovered through now, I think there's 5 studies that have been done, different angles, different ways, but what's come out from those studies, which is very interesting, is that the telomeres activity in 3 dimensions only accounts for 8 to 15% of their total activity. That means that at least 85% of their activity is not happening in 3 dimensions. When they studied the amount of back and forth in time or activity that the telomeres had, how scientists, biologists would measure that, what happened was they discovered by elimination that 85% of the activity was not happening in 3 dimensions. So 85% of the activity that's happening with your telomeres, sender-receiver satellite dishes, of all the chemicals and the electronic messages that come throughout your body, that's 8 to 15%. 85% is happening in other dimensions, which means that the other dimensions of consciousness are speaking to your body using 85% at least, and that's only with the technology that we currently use. I have a suspicion that it's way more than that, but you're being communed with constantly through those telomeres. Meaning, how do cells know when to divide? How do you know how to be in the right place at the right time? How do you know that that person, their energy is a little bit off? It's not in smell, taste, touch. It's not in those senses. How do you have instincts about people? How do you have intuitions? Where does all of this come from? Well, you're being communed with by consciousness constantly. Now, how are these messages delivered? Well, it's one of the same reasons we're so affected by sunspots or sunbursts from the sun. Photon packages of light actually affect the human body, and in fact, the intake mechanism for those photons, which carry information, are actually your telomeres. So you are sending out information and receiving information constantly. It's basically, now I want to tell you, is there a book written on this yet? No, but there are scientists in Russia studying it. But one of the things that happens to me is I start to get to see things before they get written up scientifically, which happens over and over and over again, including we got to see that there were 12 strands of DNA. That's what the collective started to reveal. And of course, then Cryon started talking about it, and then, of course, it started being studied, the 12 strands of DNA in Russia, a couple of people studying it. But all of this information is available to all of us. The cool thing about it, though, is, the information has to come back and forth somehow, and that's how it's delivered. It's fairly straightforward. So, there's the conversation that I'm having through my mouth, and the conversation that you're hearing through your ears and through your intellect. And then there's the part of you that would be able to distinguish basically BS from deeper truth, that would be able to feel what's being talked about, that would filter through a deeper truth that would assist you in living your life more expansively. If you listened with your telomeres, with your cells, you would be able to not only feel what I'm saying, but also integrate the pieces that you really wanted to hear or needed to hear, or your higher levels have been dying to hear, or you've been waiting all your life to hear. So listen beyond your intellect, what you know. It doesn't matter at this stage of our awakening. What matters is not the intellectual understanding so that your mind can be at peace, so that you can take some steps. The full body experience of integrating what we're talking about here will actually change the way you approach everything. Because you see, when you're around people and you know something's off, I was just talking with my general manager today about this. She said, I can't believe it, Jen. As I keep doing this work, what happens to me is I can feel the incongruencies around me everywhere as I'm willing to be myself. And what was happening with her is she was, now listen closely, because this may be you. She was running around in her life living the shoulds and have tos of being a single mom, of having twin boys, of being in the world, of being the general manager, of doing all those things. And there's a lot of musts and shoulds. Think of all the roles that you have in your life. Well, when you try to perfect those roles, you're actually not being yourself. You're being a bunch of ancestrally inherited roles and identities that actually have very little to do with being you until you choose those roles sovereignly. It's one of the powerful exercises we do in a course called Get Out of Your Own Way. But what happened to her is, as she's starting to see all of her innate abilities, as she is embodying all those abilities to see energy and to actually move energy, to move energy in a crowd, to bring through information in mass blocks, to hear infinite wisdom giving her what there is to deliver. She's coming into who she really is as a leader, really. But it feels a little bit uncomfortable, and I wonder if some of you guys have experienced that too. This uncomfortability that comes with this unfamiliarity. What I want to guarantee you is that in this year, 2015, what is for sure going to happen is you are going to feel incredibly unfamiliar. But unfamiliar is not scary. Unfamiliar does not equate to scary. Unfamiliar is simply unfamiliar. And how do you make the unfamiliar familiar? You lean into it and you do it. Right? So now, we've got that infinite wisdom is speaking through your telomeres. We've got that you have some innate abilities that are, there are actually 12 strands of DNA which have encodements for all of the other dimensional innate abilities. And those other dimensional innate abilities can be integrated into you. For most of you, you probably have several of them already working really well, or you wouldn't be here. We generally work with people that have several of their innate abilities working really well. It's just a fully integrated human being. It's like the confidence or the knowingness that comes with that has you be someone that truly can affect many with confidence. So we also now get that what we haven't said yet is there's also aspects in your DNA that scientists have called junk DNA, which actually isn't junk DNA. Those aspects are not junk DNA. Of course, the universe doesn't make mistakes. You guys all know that already. The universe doesn't make mistakes. So we know that the junk DNA is actually, because as human beings we've been working from 3 dimensions, acting like we're simply 3-dimensional, instead of remembering that not only do we have that 2-stranded DNA in 3 dimensions, we also have another 10 strands of DNA in other dimensions that are assisting us to integrate all of those innate abilities. The innate abilities of being able to commune directly with nature, the innate ability of being able to love at a level that's ridiculous. So much love that it actually affects change in another, unconditional. A level of compassion that's, you just stop being triggered by other people. You just stop because you can see who they are and what they've been through instantaneously. It's a level of seeing with your telomeres that has you transcend the need to protect yourself. Because not only do you not need to protect yourself, you can actually see how you could shift the energy of that other person so they don't have to be in pain anymore. You would walk around in a feeling of such safety, not because you would realize you are safe, but because in a very real way you've integrated with the abilities and you've seen who you really are so profoundly that all of the triggers, the stops, the things that would hold you back, the belief systems, whatever you've heard is in people's way, Isn't it interesting how the ego would want us to address all the things that we perceive are in our way, because you'll never get on with who you really are. You see, if you actually activated the truth of who you really are, all of that stuff would become irrelevant. It would become so uninteresting you won't even believe it. And it would transmute in your journey of integrating with who you really are. Because aren't we going through all the excavation of the how comes and whys and why do I keep doing this? Aren't we going through the journey of analysis because we want to finally get to, and we believe that's the problem. We have a belief, it's an entity. We have a belief that that's the stuff that's stopping us. Actually, there's nothing stopping you. There is actually nothing stopping you. The only thing that's actually stopping you is the belief that that stuff is stopping you. Because with all of that crap, you become the most amazing bridge because you have the most compassion as you learn who you really are. And I'm not talking about some nebulous concept. I think some people sometimes hear me like there's some nebulous concept of, oh, I'm remembering who I am, like a fluffy concept. I don't deal in fluff. I'm talking about the real 12 dimensions of DNA that I regularly get to experience and see as a hologram in every single person, along with the entirety of their past and the entirety of all the things that are incongruent and the protective mechanisms they made up. And in seeing that from a place of integration, it actually blows apart the things that aren't integrated and that are in the way. But also, then you need the tools to be able to be that person. Because to be a fully integrated person is completely unfamiliar, and we're back to the problem, right? How do you learn the tools? So, Ellen, I'm going to bring you back on, okay, my love? So, Ellen, so far so good.
Yes, this is exactly where I'm at. I still want to experience that.
So, my love, and yeah.
I can't even tell you. You know, I'm sure you know. But
I do.
I tried, and then I've not tried, and
yeah, well, it's literally why I chose you first. So one of the issues that's happened that I could see holographically for you, and I know that so many of the people listening right now are going to relate profoundly to this, okay? You ready?
Yeah.
So one of the things when we've grown up not being understood or seen, it's sort of like we've grown up. And so many of you are also over that, and I respect that, trust me. But we've grown up sort of not being understood. You know, it's sort of like we're in the not belonging club in our family, in our school, in our everything, right?
Yeah.
You're just a big freedom weirdo. And in the best possible way. And what happens is that what we do is we kind of think that there's everyone else's way, and everyone else must know, even within the like people who say they're enlightened or the New Age movement or stuff like that, which, by the way, I'm going to say that nothing I'm talking about is connected to any identity like that. I never was in any movement. I was in a big multinational company. This has all come through.
As am I.
Right. So this is not about that. This is about not connecting to any of that. But what we want to know is that that way of being that wasn't seen or understood was an evolution upon how human beings had been before, and even how you had been in the last several lifetimes, where it's like you knew something was possible. You didn't really know how to get yourself there or how to communicate it so that people could hear you. And the problem is, this stage of evolution of human beings has never been pursued before. We've never woken up to our multidimensional nature. We have been born in other lifetimes with it, or we've lived in other versions like druids and different spiritual leaders and stuff in different times several thousand years ago. Some had connections, But there was never a time where we were fully integrated as a race. And because we weren't, we were vulnerable to being swayed, because as human beings who are fully integrated, we're very, very powerful. So, Miss Thing, what we do is we kind of question how you're being, right? And you're like, well, no one's really given me an example. I'm not really sure how to do this. And then we become incredibly independent because we sort of give up on ever being seen or heard or understood at some point. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And right? And so then what happens is, because we've been judged or misunderstood so often, it's like, what's even the point in speaking anything? You know, what's the point in... So then we become this independent person who feels this urgency inside that this is the truth of who I am, so I'm going to do this all by myself. Right?
Yes.
And even when we take courses and programs, we're in there and it still feels like you're having, you know, you're getting all this information and these steps and the stuff, but then you go out and you're still by yourself.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so what I'm sharing here is, first of all, I want to say this. You have never been by yourself, you never will be by yourself, and you're not by yourself right now. The collective of your higher levels actually, and I'm speaking specifically to you, Ellen, actually got you here in the first place. So the problem is we feel alone. The first and foremost understanding of being alone, and God knows I know this for sure. You know, I have a conversation with one of my guides quite often, and the conversation goes something like this. You know, I don't know if anyone's ever really going to understand me. And the response back is, so what? And then the response is, everyone's going to understand you multidimensionally in the world that is not 3D. But until everyone is fully integrated, it's going to be really hard. It's not going to be like Jake Sully and what's her name in, you know, Avatar. But we are getting there. And the cool thing is I have a pretty good sense of seeing you right now. So now what's next? Because your question really, Alan, what I heard, if I'm wrong, which I'm sure other people have the question, is like...
I have so many questions, I'm sure you...
Sure.
So you're covering it all.
Absolutely. How do we do it? How do we do it?
Yeah.
How does this group of people...
I believe it's possible. I really... But I have no idea.
It's the same thing that everybody that's listening has felt. It's the same thing that I felt when I was 17 years old, standing in front of my dad while he's watching like political television where everyone's at war. And I said, you know, I think that can all change. I think we can change it. My dad looks now, and I'm saying this on a really deep level. I'm not saying it on a la level. I could feel it. My dad goes, Jennifer, get your head out of your butt. Stop being so Pollyanna. It's not possible. And I didn't say anything back to him for some reason, because normally I would have fought with him. But I just knew, and I knew there was no point at this time. Isn't it funny now? It's kind of funny what I'm doing for a living, right? Like, who knew? So, Ellen, here's the thing, and by the way, if anyone is interested in knowing, yes, my dad is extremely proud. He has no idea what the hell we're doing here, but he knows that it's something. And he, you know, when we did our event with Don Miguel Ruiz here in Toronto, and we were all speaking on a stage together, he just nodded and went, wow, that's really cool. So I just want you to know that you being the change does shift even the most stubborn person, and I am going to wager that there is no one on the line right now that has a more stubborn person in their life than my father. So Miss Ellen, how do you do this? Well, in our world, this is what you do, okay? So in our world, this is what you do. And when I say our world, I mean in the world of, like, the Wide Awakening. This is what I know how to do, okay? So the first thing is you don't have to anything. Okay, first of all, you could keep going on your own. But I'm going to tell you, for those of you that are on that urgent leading edge, that know that there's more, that want to get on with it, on that leading edge, you know that you are called to being on the fast track. You don't have to, but there's a call. You can't stop yourself from waking yourself up. Do you feel that, Ellen?
Yeah.
Like there's no stopping this choo-choo train, right?
Exactly.
Right.
I want to take the express, the bullet train.
Right. So the next thing is
hamster wheel.
Right.
I'm on a hamster wheel, yeah.
Since it's never been done by anybody, any civilization on this planet ever before, like what we're doing right now has never been invented. I for sure know that my piece of the puzzle is to integrate, is to be a seer of the truth of who people are so that it activates fully in people, which, quite frankly, that's a process that we do over the course of a weekend and get out of your own way. But even in my one-on-ones, that what we do, it's actually no matter what I do, I'm doing that. Right now, I'm doing that with you.
I can feel.
That's part of it, okay? But again, the second piece of it is then, okay, so now you're seen and you can viscerally, multidimensionally feel that your default level of who you are is okay to bring to the forefront and that it's been seen. And even though you can't put language around it, you know that it's pretty something and you want to express it in the world. The problem is we haven't fully integrated with the innate abilities that allow us to express that, understanding fully how to. Those abilities are like eyesight. They're like smell. It's like, how do you know something's going to be yummy? Because you smell it and it smells awesome. How do you know the sunset's just going to be killer? Because it starts going pink and orange and all that kind of stuff. And you know you got to stop and take a look. Well, then we got to ask the multidimensional questions. How do I evolve my senses of let's say, translating what an orb is trying to do there, or do I even need to? Or is there something to say in this group that something's going on with because I'm called to say something, so what is it? How do you fine-tune the skills of mastery that come from the other dimensions of DNA that are encodements? That's the next step. For me, Ellen, that is what the next step actually is. The next step is actually to embody those innate abilities after you sort of get out of the way of all the old stuff, right? And then what there is to see what's presenting in life and apply who you are to everything you do. It's to be that fully embodied person no matter where you go, no matter what you do. It is not, despite so many quotes that I see on Facebook saying, surround yourself with wonderful people and you too will become wonderful. So only be around positive people. Good God, if everyone did that, like, there would be a whole world of negative people plotting against us. It isn't about that. It's about a compassionate world bridging everybody up to remembering who they are, at least the ones that are willing. But the way to do that is to become a bridge, and that's how you become a bridge. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess, how do I get to experiencing life differently such that I can be that?
Well,
Whereas how you can see and you can feel and you have those receptors you are telling me are.
All I can talk about is the tools that we have. Like, you know, Ellen, you're asking a question that I will say this, okay? This is the end of the first half of our call. We'll go to I see there's a whole bunch of people with questions. I promise you we'll get to you, okay? I see there's tons of questions. It's awesome. So, Ellen, here it is. So within the world of the Wide Awakening, within what has come through this vessel called Jennifer Hough, okay? And not just this vessel, I want to be very clear. This is a team of 12 people. So the Wide Awakening is a team of some extraordinary leaders in their own right, working to bring through and themselves going on the same journey that we're all on, like that you're on. They're all going through that journey. There's no way they could work with us in this company without actually being on the journey too. And every single one of if I talk to Rob right now, Rob would be like, oh yeah, I'm on it, you know. My sweetie's on it, you know, our general manager, everyone is in this journey. And it really is a journey. So what we have evolved to a place of, Ellen, is, first of all, I can't remember who I was talking to today. Oh, I know, one of our students of flight school. That's that's our sort of be-all to the end-all program. I was talking to one of them, and she said, I don't know how people would ever wake up this fast on their own. It would, like having a group of people around them that are awakening like this, which is part of the reason why we do quantum wake-up calls for free once a year and why we have the radio show every month, is because it's like this awakening is very unfamiliar. And talking about dimensions of DNA with codes that contain the skill sets that would enable you to be that person that got seen, that you can't even put words around, but all you want to do is be it and get on with it. Where's the language for that? There's not really language for that, right? And that's why I'm in the middle of writing the book about this. But even the book is not going to get you there. You guys understand, it's like reading books is not the same as being in the energy of people that have the courage to let themselves be seen after a lifetime and several lifetimes of being judged and hurt. Finally coming out to be seen, and then not only be seen, but putting themselves out there so that they now are the change and speaking stuff ever so gently, ever so with so much compassion, yet causing ripples wherever they go, just by being you, with great joy. So the way that we do it is, first, we have these conversations to let people know that it's possible, to activate the possibility of that, right? We do that on the radio show. We do that on Quantum Wake Up Calls. We have conversations all the time. And all I can share is how we do it, because I don't know how many other places there are that actually do it. The second thing is given the skill sets that have come forth in me, that can come forth in everybody, and I know that you guys have these skill sets because you guys are seers too. All a seer is someone who can see who someone really is when they forget. You probably don't do it all the time, because the times you don't do it are when you're triggered or when it pushes one of your buttons, because you turn on the protective mechanism instantaneously. So the second part is being seen. But after tens of thousands of people working with them and seeing who they really are, the depths of the hologram that I see in people and the degree of love that I feel, you know, I don't know half of you, but there's a tremendous amount of, you just feel this affinity for everyone, like we've all been here before, like we've been waiting for the conversation. It's like I know you, right? It's like you know me. And I have been waiting, and you have been waiting, right? And so here we are having a conversation, and the depths of that being able to be seen is, for us, is what happens in Get Out of Your Own Way. It's a room full of 25 people, and in that 25 people, we sit in a room, and we go through a very unique journey of transmuting thousands of old belief systems in the span of 2 days so that you don't have to excavate them one at a time. And then we go on this journey of actually letting yourself and experiencing firsthand who you really are, so that your default level of magnetism, in other words, the effortless ease and flow that will happen in your life, and the degree to which you can see the truth of what's going on around you and who you really are, is permanently altered. It's like the total default level of you seeing yourself and the confidence with which you live shifts through a process not of intellectual steps, but one that causes a quantum leap. And then the next step would be taking a program called Innate Abilities, right? And the innate abilities are where we actually do the innate abilities. We don't talk about the innate abilities. We actually show you that you can already do all of them. Because so here's another little step before we finish this half, you guys, okay? Very important. Rob, do you love me? I'm going overtime. Here's something that's really important, you guys. We've evolved beyond the idea of intention. When you have an intention, the intention is actually coming from your higher levels. And it's not your higher levels' intention. What's coming through you is a future projection of the trajectory you're on, okay? The movie of a possible trajectory that you're on. They're giving you hundreds of options, but it's one that at this point in your consciousness you could actually believe you might get to. And that one little piece of the entire trajectory comes through you as an idea to intend. But the truth is, the collective of your higher levels already has it done in consciousness. In quantum physics, if you've ever watched What the Bleep, the basketball has already gone in the basket, if you understand. It's not still bouncing on the court. It's in the basket, along with 100 other basketballs that could be in the basket, but that's the only one that you could see right now. So intentions are actually misnamed. They're not intentions at all. If the entire universe thought you were a good idea and a piece of the puzzle expanding heaven on earth, does it make any sense of it all? Does it make any sense at all? If you are God incarnate, like literally creation expressed in human form, that you would have to intend stuff. Your higher levels already live in the multi-dimensions. They're already watching the trajectory of your life based on your actions, not your intentions. Your actions are 100 times more potent. 100. It's like 100,000 more times potent. So you contemplating taking actions, worrying about whether it's right or not, is actually slowing you down tremendously. If you take the action, even if the action isn't quite congruent with your direction, you'll be immediately redirected. If you think about it, you'll never be redirected.
Yeah.
Get what I'm saying? So it goes, for us, it goes quantum wake-up calls or radio shows, get to know us, kind of feel us, again with your telomeres, not listening to intellectually, well, does this make sense, and blah, 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 but more like feeling. All of the people that come to work with us feel the resonance. They just know. It's like, oh my God, I gotta do this work. It's amazing. The next step is get out of your own way, literally where you get seen, where it's irrefutable who you are, and your default level of magnetism and what you emanate changes permanently, and you relate to the world in a way that's so much more free that transcends drama and contemplation. And then the third thing that people do is called Innate Abilities, which is the program that actually assists you to integrate your innate abilities, not by thinking about them or talking about them, but by actually doing them. You're actually seeing energy. You're actually communing with the trees. You're actually experiencing your universalis state and yourself all at the same time. You're actually experiencing compassion for people you never thought you would experience compassion for. You have no idea how it shifted. And you do it. Okay? Because doing it outweighs intending to do it or thinking about doing it. When we show you you can do it, it's a totally different ballgame. And then you'll see what's after that. Our programs after that are really about flying. One of our programs is called Flight School. It's 6 months working with me to fully integrate yourself. It's $22,000. So that's like an advanced course for people who've done Get Out of Your Own Way. and they take innate abilities during flight school. So there's a whole thing there. So, but the cool thing is, Ellen, what's very funny is, guess where the next place we're doing Get Out of Your Way is?
North Carolina?
Phoenix.
Oh, really?
Funny, right? So, so anyways.
Oh, yes, it is. That is.
Yeah, so my love. So thank you for asking the question. And I'm just going to go to the last two people, see if we can finish up before 6:15. Does that assist, Ellen?
God bless you. Thank you.
I'm sure that your questions, oh, God bless you for asking, because, you know, I'm sure your questions helped everybody. So Pamela, over there in lovely California, what was your question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hugs to you.
Oh, big smushies right back at ya.
That was incredible. And I guess my question pretty much goes along the line with that, but I just want some clarity on embodying Christ consciousness and what that really means.
Well, okay, so would you be willing to just kind of like go on a journey of, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about? And go on it anyways? Because it's going to sound like a little unfamiliar language, but let's have this conversation, because my job tonight really with everyone, and including you, Pamela, is I want to really, there's a hologram that I see, and it's like I have a movie that I want to really show you, but I got to paint the movie for you, right? So that you can kind of tap into the same frequency where the movie's playing, right?
Right.
Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Sort of, kind of?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So let's do this. Okay. So let's all together, let's first of all, you can see your 3D. Everyone just like feel your hands and touch your nose and lick your lips and taste your spit and kind of look around the room and just get present to the 3-dimensional. So we know we're 3-dimensional. Okay. So now everybody, if we can close our eyes for a moment. Right now, if you close your eyes and you put your attention on your cells and you imagine what your telomeres, so little sender-receiver satellite dishes, sending and receiving information back and forth to cosmic consciousness, not to cosmic, just to consciousness, to infinite wisdom, to all that is, to the 99% of us that isn't 3-dimensional. It's not matter. 99% of you is actually the space between the matter. So it's pure potential. That's what you're made of. It should give you a clue about what you should be doing with your, like, we should be creating. 99% of you is pure potential waiting to be created, right? So if you get into your telomeres right now and feel the communion between you and infinite wisdom, the part that's pure potential and the part that's 3-dimensional. Now, Pamela, let me ask you, what does that feel like?
What's that?
What does it feel like?
It feels like tingling.
Right, it's a buzz, right? That's exactly what it feels like. A buzz, a tingling, it's like there's constant back and forth and back and forth. It's at a speed that your brain couldn't even understand. Okay, so now if we go to the movie, right? And I see quite a few people just joined us. Can you ask your question again, Pamela, so everyone can hear it?
Well, my question was to embody Christ consciousness.
Right.
What does it mean?
And so, okay, cool. Everyone's, okay, good. Okay, so the question is a lovely one, but is it okay if I make it much bigger and much more juicy?
I love that.
Okay, cool. Here's the question. How do we embody all the masters? And when we take it a step further, if each of us right now is connected to infinite wisdom, then the consciousness that was Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Magdalene consciousness, Kuan Yin, you know, the intelligence that was that, the spirit that was that, exists in consciousness, not in one form that only one person can embody, but as intelligence that can be embodied by all of us. It's multidimensional. Now, okay, so here's the next thing, okay? So your third strand of DNA involves your pineal gland, which is why, in all of the ancient cultures, 3 to 7,000 years ago, you'll see they have some pictorial of the pineal gland or the Eye of Ra, which looks exactly like the pineal gland, by the way, or all of these things. The pineal gland is the translator for the other dimensional information. That's why it's so important, and that's why those old ancient cultures took all those mind-bending drugs, right? Because what they were trying to experience is they were trying to experience the other dimensions. Somehow it was supposed to make them wiser. The thing is, the upgrades in the human potential is such that now you can translate all of those abilities and all those encodements through your pineal gland without ever having to take a mind-altering drug. And you want to hear something funny? Chocolate actually makes it easier. Just like one little square of chocolate a day. Isn't that weird? But anyways, so your pineal gland right now, if we look into the hologram, this is the movie, if we look into the hologram of the multidimensional nature of what we would call you, okay, so the very specific expression, the piece of puzzle of heaven on earth that is innate to you, okay? Now, what are your natural abilities? What are some of your natural propensities, Pamela? And I'm asking this of everyone. What are your natural propensities?
Nature.
So a communion with nature, you feel very in harmony with nature.
Yes, and dolphins.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, we're going to the center of Atlantis. I said that at the beginning of the show, right? We're going again to the center of Atlantis to go and play with the dolphins in a very deep way off the coast of Bimini with a group. So you're invited. And so you have an affinity for nature. You clearly have a relationship to the Pleiadian consciousness because you have a relationship to dolphins, which is one of our star seeds. And then, do you have any musical abilities, any art abilities?
No, appreciation.
For all of those things. Do you love to dance?
I love to dance.
Okay, so these are the love of dance, the innate connection to nature, all of those things are propensities you came in with. You already had that trajectory before you came here. There are guides. In other words, there is wisdom that we interpret as guidance realms where information lives that wants to meet you, which does meet you. It doesn't just want to meet you. It meets you often. That you may not have distinguished as such. You distinguish it sometimes, and you smile because a serendipitous thing will happen. And that serendipitous thing is those guidance realms reminding you that they're there, but they're also trying to get you to fully integrate with them, which is part of those innate abilities. How you do that, now this is going to sound really wacky. As we go through our pineal gland and we actually imagine that there's a hologram of all the other dimensions of you, and they're like a CAD-CAM design of different codes intertwined with each other because they're not unique unto themselves. They feed into each other. So whatever picture that conjures in your mind, it's as though the sum of the parts is greater than the picture of the whole. So each of the parts makes something so much more amazing than if you looked at each of those things. So now what you've got is this multidimensional being where nature feeds off of your ability to see energies. Your ability to see energies allows you to move energy with large groups and know what to say. Your ability to know what to say is inspired by your guides, and the manifestation of the incidents to be able to know what to say is part of your angels aspects, and they all play with each other. So I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound different, right? What people want me to say is what's the strategy to embody Christ consciousness or the consciousness of all of the guides that are yours. So in the 6th, 7th, and 8th strands of DNA, there are 2 codes each. Several of those codes are related to your guidance realms. One of those guidance realms would be Christ consciousness. But there's lots of them. And it's specific to what you're up to in the world right now. You always have between 3 and 8 guides. And it's specific to what you need right now. I just had a conversation with someone from that program Flight School again this morning, and she was feeling all discombobulated and very out of sorts. Because what happens when you have a new awareness and when you change in your awareness of life and when you transmute density in thousands of beliefs is there'll be several of your guides that change. But you might have spent the last 10 years with them not even knowing that, and you get this overwhelming sadness and depression, and like the ground underneath you starts shaking, like you don't know what's going on, and you're like, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. I feel like down. And for 3 days you'll be totally down until the new guides integrate. Of course, with that particular person, I showed her how to actually cause it to happen right then and there, to actually make the switch right then and there, so it's not so uncomfortable. But at the same time, can you get that? It's like you could ask, how do I integrate with Christ consciousness, which is total compassion and unconditional love, right? But you could also ask, how do I integrate with all of my guidance realms? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Which is like a way bigger question. Or no?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like huge because you have lots and lots and lots of guides. Right now, I just got another wave of, I can't believe you're saying this. Sometimes I just get these waves of, like, I see myself at 25 years old just completely being oblivious to anything I'm saying right now. It's pretty funny. So Pamela, so then to answer your question, first of all, just by talking about it, there's already something happening. Because we're opening to the door and painting the picture of what actually happens. Like we're giving you a view of what actually goes on. Right?
It's expanding my perception.
That's exactly it.
Consciousness, but of all consciousness.
Right. Because Christ consciousness is gorgeous. Are you kidding me? It's gorgeous. And anyone who's listening right now has an aspect of Christ consciousness in them. Everyone does. It's part of the energy that it takes to change this world. Look at how many people he affected still thousands of years later.
What dimensions is the Christ consciousness, the consciousness of the...
Well, there's aspects in the 10th. By the way, if you guys listen, there's one thing to learn about the dimensions of DNA. You can go to thewideawakening.com and you'll see, you'll actually see, I hope, Rob, you added time to this cast. Yeah. There is a place where we have something called the 12 dimensions of DNA, and it actually contains activations of each of the portals, and it explains each of the portals of the 12 dimensions of DNA. And it's in our store, I believe. But in each of those 12 strands of DNA lie the 2 innate abilities that come with each of them, which is actually the ability to operate as, right? That's the innate abilities program. The innate abilities program is actually integrating Christ consciousness by actually being it. And so for me, the most powerful way to do that, and it's always great to activate the portal, don't get me wrong, but to actually do it I'm curious, Pamela, can you feel the difference between understanding it and how powerful actually realizing that you can do it is?
It's like you said, it's rational mind versus your telomeres talking to you, consciousness talking to you.
Right.
different feeling and energy to it.
Yes. And can you get that it's almost like when you say it's like when you work out. If you go and lift weights, your muscles have to upgrade in order to keep lifting heavier weights, right?
Right, it's exercising them.
Your DNA is exactly the same. When you use your codes, when you use your innate abilities, it is way better than just thinking about exercising.
It's back to the actions with intention.
Exactly. So now what we're doing is we're actually using them, and your physiology, everyone, all of that junk DNA starts getting connected to your DNA and starts getting connected through your pineal gland to all your innate abilities. That is what full integration means in a multidimensional scientific explanation. That's it.
And that action also makes the carbon crystal integrate to crystalline.
Bingo! So what we got is the carbon and the crystalline coming together to morph into something that never has been before. That's what our designers made us for. Now, what's the purpose of being alive? To create upon creation. After all, you're creator incarnate. Now you don't care about judgments. It's game on. It's like, let me at life.
My whole body just had a shake and energy and just electrified.
So cool. And that's what we like to call an activation, girlfriend. So awesome, dude. And thank you for your question. Did I answer it okay?
Oh, yes, thank you and beyond.
Oh, so my total pleasure. Total pleasure. So, you guys, I know there's tons of questions more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take like a 2-second break, okay? Rob, if you can deactivate this, everyone is on the phone. You can stay on the phone line, okay? But if you're listening, not through webinars on air, but you're listening on Instant Teleseminar, but on the webcast, so through your computer, but you can't see me, what you do is you hang up and there's a second link for the second webcast, so if you come back to that, that'll be great, okay? We went quite a bit over time, but it's always my pleasure. So cool. All right, you guys, I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, whatever the hell that means. Okay. All right, Rob. Rob, if you can also take me off air just for a couple of minutes, everybody on Google Hangouts. I'll be right back in lickety split. We're just going to go off air for 2 minutes for a yummy tea break and whatever you need to do too, and we'll come back and start doing the Q&A with everybody with all these great questions. All right, guys. Here we go. All right, Rob, if you can turn on the record for the wake-up call, and everybody, I hope this is all making sense. We have tons of questions to get through. Generally, for me, this is the part where we dig in. This is where we get juicy, yummy, delicious. Right? This is where we get yum. So, okay, guys, game on. All right, we're going to take first from a caller in Fresno. All right, gorgeous, what's your name? Oh, just waiting for it to load. Hello. Hold on, just waiting for you to unmute. There we go.
Hello?
Who's over there in Fresno?
Is that me?
That's you.
Hey, Jennifer, how's it going?
Good. Who is it?
This is Katie.
Katie, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, I wanted to ask you a personal question. You know how you often reflect back in your life and think, well, you know, when I was 17, who knew? When I was 25, who'd have thought? I never really got the whole, what happened in your life? What was the catalyst? What was the turning point? What was the aha or the, you know, how did it happen for you?
Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, because I mean, it's interesting, and people may be able to relate, but I had a dad that was very perfectionistic, very hard on himself, had a father that was an engineer that drank too much, and, you know, my father was a top-level athlete. He went to the farm team for the Canadian Football League. He coached the Belgium national hockey team. He tried out for the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, this guy, he's a scratch golfer. I mean, and my grandfather never went to a single game. So you can imagine the not enoughness that was going on. Not lovable, trying so hard to be seen. And that got paid forward into my life. So I was a straight A student, you know, and it was never enough for me. Never mind him. Eventually he just trained me that it was never enough for me. And my entire high school, you know, I started my life being able to have conversation with dogs. You know, I remember at 4 years old, I was able to talk to dogs and cats, and I just knew what they were thinking and talking about, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realize that everyone else couldn't do that. But at some point, someone judged me enough and thought that I was weird enough that I just turned it off. I just turned everything off. So you guys, a lot of you have innate abilities, and you just turn them off at some point because it didn't work. Apparently, it didn't work in the world. The paradox is that now it's exactly what's being asked for, you know? So, I mean, that is how you are the change, how you make the change. So the next thing that it came for me is that in high school, I never felt like I always felt like talking about something juicy and not trying to fit in and not belong. I wanted to actually have conversations that meant something. So I debated spirituality. I remember I went to confirmation, and in the middle of the poor minister trying to describe to me what Jesus really meant in the books, I started laughing. This is terrible, you guys. Don't repeat this. But I remember laughing uncontrollably at the minister because I knew that what he was saying wasn't even close to what this amazing being was trying to get across. It was like so hierarchical. Like Jesus was the son of, like, was up here. I'm like, but I'm the son of God. Like everyone who isn't the son of God. You know, how could Christianity be the only way? That's like ridiculous. So I had a science teacher who took me under his wing. He was from Africa. I still remember he used to call me Huffy. And he was a PhD, and for some reason he ended up teaching high school physics. Yay! And I loved him. He was awesome. Big, round guy. And he was talking about conservation of energy theory, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, so nothing is ever created or destroyed, which means that me, as a being, the essence of me, my body might be dead, but where'd the rest of me go? Because something was animating my body. So all of a sudden I was starting to have my own concept of heaven. And then, you know, I went into corporate, and I knew I couldn't stay there. And then I didn't understand why all these things were happening to me and why everyone else couldn't see it. You know? And I remember a few things happening. First, I took a personal growth course, which probably half the people here probably have taken at some point. And that was 30 years ago. And with Landmark, like 30 years ago. And I started to see something, but I didn't let myself back in for a long time. And then I started to, I got really sick. And I ended up living on a sailboat, Katie. And when I was living on the sailboat, I got exposed to toxins that no doctor could help me with. All they could do is give me aspirin for the migraines it was causing, anti-inflammatories for the stuff coming out my skin, which was disgusting, and pills for depression and other pills for chronic yeast. I mean, it was horrible. And I knew in that instant something happened to me, something switched. There's no way, if I'm a divine child of God, if infinite wisdom thought it was a good idea, and I don't know how I knew this, that I should be suffering through this. I know that I am not meant. I know that we can heal and do everything, anything. I just don't know how to get there. So that was like one turning point. And I went into holistic nutrition, and I ended up running like one of the largest holistic nutrition practices in Canada, which is why I love biology. But then what happened to me is I was also volunteering at Covenant House, which is a institution for street kids. And I was working at the street kid place. And my first pay, I was a volunteer, and then they hired me paid, even though I didn't have a sociology degree. But, well, I didn't have a full sociology degree. I wasn't a sociologist or a social worker. And so I ended up taking a young girl. I mean, it's a much more profound story than what I'm about to share. But I ended up taking a young girl who called herself Angel to a psych ward, and they told me that she was schizophrenic. And I looked at her, and I knew she wasn't. I knew that she was in pain. But what's the difference? Like schizophrenic, in pain enough that you're going to disappear from this reality to go into another one. What's the difference? Like, who cares what you label it? So my job was to walk her to the psych ward. I left her off at the intake on her way to the psych ward, and she had told me her entire life story in 15 minutes, and I died. I mean, she told me what her brothers had done to her, what her sister had done to her, what her father had done to her. The abuse was just beyond my wildest comprehension. It just sort of put my dad's total type A, grumpiness in a perspective, and I walked out because I wanted to take her home so bad, but I knew that every other kid in that place was exactly like her in some way, shape, or form, where they wouldn't be on the street. And I just fell to my knees, and I'm like, basically the spiritual version of WTF, like then. And I realized in that moment why all the social workers had given up, why they were all they all felt powerless. They basically got rid of their ability to feel. And I got to tell you guys, like Katie, you got to get, everything we're talking about is amplifying your ability to feel. It's your ability to feel so much that you actually emanate it onto other people and change the world. Think of how many of us have decided not to feel because of how hurt we got, because we're all, especially this group, is incredibly sensitive beings. Like, we're all very feeling people, but we turned it off because we're so amplified in our ability to feel. The judgments and the hurts and the misunderstanding and all the stuff that happened to us hurt like 100 times more than the regular person who just basically put up with it or whatever. So for me, I'm feeling all of this, but now I'm not just feeling her. I'm feeling like Africa, India. I can see the whole world in one fell swoop. And I'm like, why are you showing me this? Like, why are you showing me this? I don't want to see this. I don't want to feel this. And then I went, oh. And I thought, so I've got two choices. With all of the pain that I feel, of everything that's happening, to not only all of the children, but just what happened to their parents, that they became those parents, and so on and so on. How does it ever get interrupted? And either I'm going to become, I'm basically going to lie down like social workers, like really become numb and acquiesce, or I'm going to somehow be the change, and I have no idea. I must be called to something because I can't. I literally couldn't. It's like I'd already numbed some of my feelings, but at that point it was like numb the rest of them, or you better do something. And that actually was the point in my life when this all started to happen.
So basically, that was your surrender.
I would say it was it was much more powerful. It was my day of choosing. It was like, what, am I in or am I out?
Right.
It really was choosing the life that the entire universe had orchestrated before I got here. Not like fate, but like the most expansive trajectory I could go on is this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was being presented to me, and I got to say yes. I get to actually see it and say yes. And then it played out in, getting over all those migraines and all that horribleness, starting to have wakened dreams as I saw clients that had the exact same thing that I had, and me being able to work through it with them, but I was working through it with me. And I started to be able to see holographically and be able to see, like people might say, it was an extrapolation of being a medical intuitive, but it's way beyond medically intuitive. It's like you could see the glands and organs, but you could see every single event that ever happened in this lifetime and every lifetime that kept repeating in order to get them to this place, and exactly what there was to say and do. But then I started to realize that that ability, that power is in every single person. Because I started to get very agitated that people would give their power away to me. I don't know why I was agitated, but I think I was agitated because I wasn't meant here to be a guru. I'm not here to be a guru. I'm here to teach you guys how to be your own, so that you can keep paying it forward. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much more to the story. I mean, I've been through a divorce from someone I still love very much who hasn't come back around yet. My parents not understanding what I'm up to, but I had to keep going. And I'm sure that all of you can relate that there's this thing inside of you. And so my job is that's how I know what my job is, right? Is to take you through, get out of your own way so that you can be fully seen. It's to assist you to embody your innate abilities after you've been seen, because your innate abilities aren't any good without you actually getting the full Monty of who you really are, and then going on that trajectory. And for a select few, we go on the ride of a lifetime for 6 months to a year. So it's been this amazing evolution of how constantly asking the question, how can I assist more? How can I be a greater contribution? How can I assist more? It's been extraordinary. It's like God, you probably feel this way too, Katie. Would you ever have imagined you'd be where you are now?
Yes.
You would? I would never. If you had told me, I would have ran screaming.
When I was young, I didn't understand it. I just felt this crazy, strong feeling, and I knew that it was fierce, and I knew that I had to show the rest of the world, come hell or high water, but I had no way in my mind, logically, to know what in the world it was.
Yeah, and it's like, it's great. And thank you for asking the question.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for asking. That's like very sweet. Thank you. All right, and all right, over there in my neighborhood in Ontario, the next question is. Oh, I'm gonna answer some of the questions actually in our. So Carrie, if I believe I can float or glide above the surface of the ground, how do I go about practicing that? So, Carrie, it isn't about beliefs. So, you guys, and thank you. So, you guys, again, I want you to drop everything you know from all the teachers we've all been with, just so you can hear telemerically through your cells, so that you really, I call getting it rather than hearing it, so that you can integrate it, so that those photon packages of energy that are ready to upgrade really happen. So, Carrie, there's a couple of things in your question. The first thing is I want to talk about beliefs. A belief is a filter through which you see the world. Basically, you collect enough evidence that something is true that you now have it as a belief. Or we naively hear it enough from our parents and they're bigger than us, so now it's a belief. In this case, it's like I want to question whether you have a belief or if you have a knowingness. And what I think, Carrie, is that you have a knowingness that you can float or guide above the surface of the ground. What I can tell you, gorgeous, is that right now you can do that you can take your consciousness and do that this instant. It's not even an innate ability, it's just an is. That's like not an ability that's like a superpower. If you close your eyes, you can take your consciousness and come above the ground right now. I mean, anyone can come above their body, anyone can take their consciousness outside of their house, anyone can do that. So the first level of understanding it is understanding that you can do that with your consciousness at any time. You can actually, human beings are the only being in the entire universe that can take their consciousness and put it into an earthly animal, like a bird, or you could be a dolphin. You can take your consciousness and be in a dolphin. It's one of the things that we show you how to do in innate abilities. So you can do all of that stuff without even getting fancy, okay? As far as getting your physicality, the first step of getting your physicality to be able to float or fly. Also, you can also experience in another dimension in wakened dreams you actually doing that. And one might say, oh, well, that's not really me doing it. And I'm going to tell you, in an awakened dream, yes, it friggin' is. It is you doing it. You have parallel realities, and in wakened dreams, in other dimensions, you can completely do that, and you are doing it, and the only way to experience it is to go through a dream to do it. Just ask yourself to dream that tonight, Carrie. You may already be doing it. It's what might be having you ask the question now, right? Is that I could do it in my dreams, but I can't do it. You are doing it in this reality by doing it in the alternate reality, by dreaming it in an alternate reality. In this reality, it takes embodying all of those other realities. It actually takes embodying all of your innate abilities, okay? Plus, then doing it, like actually going in the process of doing it. There's, it's probably one of the innate abilities that's coming up for next year is assisting people to do that. But here's the thing. So here's one of the things, Carrie. Of course we can do that. I've experienced myself going through walls. I've experienced myself shutting doors. That's one of your innate abilities. But really, if we're in the time of great change and we're bridging from a time of asleep to awake, some of these abilities, even though we all can experience them, aren't in the highest to experience right now because we have work to do that would bridge the populace, work to do, not like responsibility. Please don't hear it like caring. It's like the greatest joy and privilege in the whole wide world. But we have stuff to do before we get to the fancy bar tricks. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important to stay grounded with the abilities and the skills and the practicalities of what's presenting really in life. And perhaps that is, I don't know. But I hope that makes sense to you. I don't know if that moves energy for you, but yeah. Joy says, what simple action can I take to ease pain from my soul, dragging me into what I am here to do, dragging me into, let's see, what simple action can I take to ease the pain from my soul? Is it the pain? There's no pain. The pain from your soul. So your soul is like part of a cache that's like remembers all sorts of stuff. Again, it's such a great question, Joy. In Get Out of Your Own Way, what we do, when I say we, all of your higher levels are there. I'm there. Everyone there is there. as conduits, and you're being seen, in other words, just like that avatar moment, where it's an irrefutable 2-day experience of when you get seen, you understand that you're not any of that, but you understand it subatomically. It's a process, a very unique process to get out of your way that came through because so many were asking not to have to analyze or excavate anymore. It's like they'd done enough. They'd seen their past enough. They get it. Their past lives, I mean, they could go forever. It came a point where it's time for the world to awaken. And if I remember myself, if I can truly get seen, all of that which is not me that causes pain can be transmuted in the process. Some you'll have to see because you're going to pay it forward to others. You're going to learn things from the process of seeing why something happened. But it's only like 5% of that stuff. You don't have to know it all. It's one of the other fallacies that are the ego culture is made up. That you actually have to know what happened to you that caused the pain in order to get rid of it. You actually don't have to know it. You could just have your higher levels transmute it, right? And there's something about, with compassion and love to the depths, going through a journey of being seen so profoundly that actually has you not hold the stuff that is giving you pain now so closely to you that it continues to give you pain, but actually you'll see even in the space of an hour it becomes over there to you, and you go on a totally different trajectory that starts to transmute and break apart and distance yourself from that because you realize it has nothing to do. Your attention focused on that which is not you only brings that which is not you closer. So the activation of even just listening to this call over and over again is going to move it a little bit, Joy. Okay, so that would, my way of dealing with that is, and let me assist a little bit more. Joy, seriously, look at me. You are a divine child of an infinite universe. The entirety of consciousness conspired to dream you into existence. You are a creator in a 3-dimensional human body, here to expand upon what already has been. You have everything within you. It may not yet be fully integrated, but even just talking about it is opening the portals of that possibility. The only journey worth going on is the remembrance of all of that, not the excavation of what not has been, what has not, has no bearing. You have all of the capacities, all of the teachers, all of the experiences before you, because the entire universe loves you so much that journey is clearly up to go on, because we're having the conversation right now. So lean in, girlfriend. Lean in, my love. Janice saying, in my action of dancing with what presents, letting go and allowing, I often feel like I'm spiritually bipolar. Yes. And Joy, thank you for saying you don't think I'm fruity. And Jan says, what I like to call it is awakening schizophrenia, you guys. And awakening schizophrenia. So okay, I'm going to paint just like we did with Pamela. What we're going to do is we're going to do a movie again, okay? Here's the movie. The movie is, there's a truth of, like my friend, I told you about my general manager. Here she is. She's got a relationship that she has been wanting to be in love for like a decade after her divorce. But all of a sudden, this person is appearing in her life. It's so amazing. Her heart is opening. She's like, ugh, she's just like, it's so amazing to watch her. But at the same time, you know, her sweetie pie has lived in regular, he works for the government, in regular life, you know, none of this stuff is in his awareness. And by the way, other people don't have to have the same language or have this understanding in order to have an amazing life. Lots of people understand it different ways, and they don't need to take the courses you do, so don't project that on them, okay? That's just an aside. But anyways, they'll get it from your beingness. Just trust that. They'll watch you. That's all they need. They'll watch you. And you'll watch them because some of them got some goods for you. So here's this guy who's dancing along with life, and she's in love. And the problem is that he still holds. She realizes how far she's come because she's got all these identities, but she's got rid of. But she's watching him, and he's like responsible to his family, and he's carrying these people, and he's carrying those people, and he's like, he's worried about this person's health, and he gets lots of feedback that he's the most amazing because he's the martyr for the world, right? He's blissfully happy when he's with her. But what happens is, as soon as he goes back, he's just like, because he's living in his identities and shoulds and have-tos that are not from freedom, they're projected to him from his culture, his ancestry, everything. I mean, get out of your own way literally is going way beyond all of that so that you're free, right? So she is taking get out of your way lots of times, and plus I talk to her every day. But what's happened is when she starts carrying him, she's like this expansive being on this creative journey. She's got a photography business. I mean, she's like awesome, right? And then all of a sudden she starts carrying him, and it's like she gets a stuffy nose, her face breaks out in welts. I'm not kidding either. Like, the difference between how she bees in general, because, we all have the privilege of working in this, living in this work every day, and, when she goes out into life after work, it's like there's an adjustment period, and also as soon as you start engaging any of the density, that's what happens, you guys. Remember, you are the eye of the storm. You staying in the eye shows everyone else that peace is possible. As soon as you start picking on the cows and picking on the tables and looking at the cars that are floating by, you all of a sudden have taken yourself out of the eye and you're spinning around with the rest of them. You are a divine child of an infinite universe. And by the way, the more you allow yourself to get seen, in other words, the more you integrate with who you really are, and then the more you embody your innate abilities, and for the people in flight school, it's not only embodying, it's living it full on, like let it rip, right? So the more you do these things, the more what happens is that the contrast between when you actually are just being yourself, free and clear of the identities, and when you start engaging the cow floating by, I always imagine the Wizard of Oz. What happens is you get back into the hurricane. You serve nobody by carrying. You serve nobody by worrying. I had the conversation with my mother a couple of years ago when she got breast cancer. It was because she worried about everyone. My conversation with her was, Mom, worry and love are not the same thing. Worry and love are not the same thing. Worry is worry. Do you love me? She said, yes. Can you help yourself? She said, no. I go, do you worry about me sometimes? She goes, yes. I said, do you have a choice as to whether you worry? And her first answer was no. And I said, that is BS. Do you have a choice whether you have to worry, whether you need to worry about me or not? She goes, well, I guess I can choose not to worry, but that's not what a good mother does. Funny, right? I said, Mom, that's an identity. That has nothing to do with being an... Do you want to be a great mom for me? She said, yes. I said, do you want me to tell you what a great mom for me is? She goes, okay. I said, just love me no matter what. She said, well, I can't help that. And I said, awesome! Do you know the rest of the world would die for a mother like that? People would lay down for you. Don't worry about me. It does not make me happy that you're worrying. It doesn't make me think of you better. Cheerlead me. Take all that energy and cheerlead the living daylights out of me. So that bipolar, what would happen to me is whenever she carried me, it would make me nuts. And I'd be like having this great life, and then I wouldn't want to be around her because it made me nuts. But then when I realized is that I was choosing to have it make me nuts, and I was watching the cow. So that's how, Jan, you be yourself no matter what. Dagmar says, I recently experienced a huge anxiety attack, totally out of the blue. I simply woke up and felt the world as not in order. Is this part of our awakening? I would say, Dagmar, that this is the thing. Anxiety attacks are basically remnants of the past, where likely during the day something happened that actually harkened back to a very unpredictable, untimely, scary thing that happened for you. But an anxiety attack, and I'm going to be very clear with everyone. Listen, because I just had this conversation with one of our flight school people yesterday. And that is, an anxiety attack is only a sensation. So listen closely. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm undermining the anxiety. I know when we have anxiety attacks, they feel real. It's because they are real. It's a real thing. There is no question. But an anxiety attack is really because something got triggered that caused your past to come up, whereby you're predicting the future based on a past incident. And the future that you're projecting is actually completely not going to happen, or very unlikely to happen. But the body, just like when we talk about dreams or imagination, when you imagine things, your body responds like it's actually happening. So when something triggers a memory, your body responds like it's actually happening. So what I'm going to say first and foremost about anxiety attacks is that it's just a body sensation. Remember that. It's only a sensation. It's not, it's a real body sensation, but you don't have to be afraid of the fear. The body sensation is not fear. It's the body's response to a trigger for fear. But if you look at the reality before you, is any of that going on? No. So we have to distinguish a body sensation as fascinating and then who we really are. And as you see who we really are, you won't even be able to take the anxious feeling. The instant response will be, well, this is fascinating. And I'm activating that in you guys so that, I mean, again, it's like I'm activating a possibility within you. Again, when we do get out of your way, what happens is there's a complete freedom from that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to say this because we're just at the time where our program was meant to be over. So I'm going to act like we're finished, but we're going to carry on for the next 20 minutes and answer all these questions, okay? So we're gonna act like we're finished right now, and I'm gonna complete for all of you who only put aside the 2 hours of time, which I completely honor that. So it goes something like this. I want to let you know that if you're here, the entire universe thought it was important, and that's the only way that I can see you or feel you or hear you. It is my reality. You want to find friends who have that capacity to see you even when you can't see yourself. That in and of itself is an activation. Now, I know I see everyone's questions. We'll get to them. My calling for this evening was to make sure that you knew what the next steps are from Quantum Wake-Up Calls. And then we'll answer the rest of the questions. And yes, it will be juicy. First of all, I want to tell you what's immediately coming up. My sweetie and I have workshops coming up in both Phoenix and in Toronto. In Toronto, on the Sunday, I think it's the 25th, there is a workshop that it's the only time it's going to be, I believe it's the only time, it's going to be half price. It's $150 per couple or $99 per single. And we're doing a Love Awakening workshop, which takes you through the activations and the skills and the tool sets but what it is to dive into that kind of romance with your life and with another that is so, it's exactly what you thought it should be when you were 7. It's just you kind of let go that it was ever possible. You probably even got told that you need to give your head a shake at some point. So Love Awakening is happening in Toronto in a week and a half. You can find the registration at www.thewideawakening.com/Love Awakening Workshop. I believe it's called Love Awakening Workshop. Let me just check and see. Yeah, Love Awakening Workshop, I do believe. So the next thing is that we have a Get Out of Your Way coming up in Phoenix, Arizona. And we only do, each place once a year. So this in Phoenix, Arizona. We have one coming up in California. Fortunately, those are pretty close. Oftentimes people from California come to Phoenix. But it is happening, and let me just double check here so that I give you the right dates. It is happening. Oh, and by the way, you can find out about that, and Rob, maybe you want to post that. Yeah, it's Love Awakening Workshop. And by the way, some of you may want to find out about flight school. It's www.thewideawakening.com/flight school. What you do to be in a 6-month journey with me on that intensive, you'll see it on that page. But the way to start that journey is not to just pay for it, because it actually requires an interview and to do a discovery session, which in and of itself is worthwhile because we're actually doing readings and seeing you, and it's very valuable. But you can sign up for that discovery session at thewideawakening.com/flight school for those of you who really want the full Monty. And then, of course, there is the Get Out of Your Own Way. And Get Out of Your Way is in Phoenix, the 21st and 22nd. The Love Awakening workshop is on the 20th, but the 21st and 22nd. And Rob, if you can post on Skype the Get Out of Your Own Way link, and I can say it to everybody so that everyone can register if you are ready for that journey as well. Okay? So if you have any interest in the trip with the dolphins to the center of Bimini, or in our couples trip for New Year's next year with the whales in Maui, or our trip to Mazatlan with the whales and dolphins, then you can email Faye at officeangel@thewideawakening.com. And she will take your name, as the pages aren't up yet to register. And last but not least, I want to let you know that the first Wednesday of every month we have a Wide Awakening radio show, and just like this, you can ask all the questions you have and go a little bit further and all that kind of stuff, okay? And the last thing I want to share, Dagmar, one of the people that asked questions, is in the Awakening Alchemist program. The Awakening Alchemist program is a program for people who are teachers or facilitators or coaches or Reiki masters or naturopaths or team leaders or management consultants or whatever. And what it does is it allows you not only to have your innate abilities, but to integrate them into your practice fully and understand what it is to run an awakened business, and instead of following all these strategies, but actually do it completely and entirely from instinct and from the heart, your way, instead of following the paradigms of some of the very constrictive paradigms of marketing or coaching or consulting. It's actually being able to run some alchemy on the situation so that energy moves in ways that nobody can understand, but it's amazing. It's like doing light years of work in one workshop, or one client consultation does 10 years of psychiatric work. So it's very, very powerful, Awakening Alchemist. If you're interested in that and checking it out, it's thewideawakening.com/Awakening Alchemist. And I'm just going to say this one more time. You can visit Get Out of Your Own Way and the dates at thewideawakening.com under the Courses tab. So you guys, I want to share with you this, that the process with us generally is to do Get Out of Your Own Way and then innate abilities, and then you figure out from there what you want to do. But these are two very powerful and important integrations for me, and the start of the journey is these quantum wake-up calls where we get to have delicious conversations. And so I just want to appreciate everyone that already was a part of Quantum Wake-Up Calls, and I want to appreciate all of you who are new to Quantum Wake-Up Calls, and I hope this has made a difference for you, and that you've seen things differently, and that you've got activations, and that you'll listen a few times over and over and over again. Okay, so that's what we do them for. And also for those that are ready to go on the fast track, every course we do is about leaping past all the old paradigms and actually going on the fast track to go direct with life. That's why we're here. So all of our programs are that. So I really invite you to go and check them out. We're always excited to play with people who've never done this work before, because it opens eyes. It is very powerful. All right, you guys, so we have some questions. So I'm going to continue on for another 20 minutes or so with some really great questions I see here. Lots and lots of them. Rob has put down a whole bunch of them, so I'm going to answer one more, then I'm going to go to the phones. So let's see. And joy, again, I'm going to say that that how you lessen the uncomfortability is you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but you take all that energy and you start to focus it on allowing yourself, do the work to be seen. I mean, gosh, if you're not going to take a program with us, do a one-on-one with me for 15 minutes. Do something to have those around you that truly see you without just like an unconditionality. And then, or you can get the advanced version of that, and just I can't recommend Get Out of Your Way more. So that will assist you. Just won't have uncomfortability. So Jessica is saying, Jem, from open-hearted place, watching, participating in my relationship, wanting more, being careful not to gather evidence, feeling moments of great sadness, longing, overwhelmed. Your shows have been allowing me to breathe and stay in love. Thank you. Oh, Bunny Rabbit, thank you. Oh, thanks. Okay, so thank you. And I'm so glad they're having the effect that I have been, it's been in my dreams of having. So Jill is saying, are there 12 strands of DNA connected to the 12 solar chakras in the fifth dimension? Of course there are, Jill. Yes, absolutely, my love. There totally are. I can't. Yeah, that must be Jill asking that question. So yes, of course, everything, it's much more intertwined than we have time for in quantum wake-up calls. But let's just say that anything that you've heard is connected to something else. Anything that resonated as a deeper truth, you watch how those 12 dimensions of DNA are connected to the 12 starseed societies, and are connected to the 12 greatest power places on the world, and are connected to the 12 solar chakras. But remember that those 12 stranded of DNA, it's levels of DNA, one of the innate abilities that comes with 2 codes per strand of DNA, so 2 main codes. So there's 24 innate abilities in those 12 strands, 24 main ones, there's more than that. But one of the abilities is to create upon creation. So in other words, to create more innate abilities. So in innate abilities at this point, we have like, I think 18 more innate abilities that I haven't mentioned at all that are beyond the original 24 that human beings came with. And so that's why the chakra system is changing, because it's realigning itself to the upgraded human being, because we weren't meant to just have 12 strands, right, or 12 solar chakras. It's going even beyond that. So Alexander's asking, I've been in the journey for about 18 years. I think I have shifted, but I'm not sure because I have. So one thing that I want to say to all of you guys, Everyone shifted, and you shift every day. Okay, you're integrating, and your biology is being upgraded to capacitate these higher frequencies. I'm going to say it again. Your biology is being upgraded constantly. You're integrating the junk DNA. You're integrating parts of your brain that you haven't used. Your corpus callosum is tying both sides of your brain together more magically. The imagination and creativity is coming together with the logic. The mind is losing its power, the ego mind. All of these things are happening, and it's going to keep happening until the entire world is woken up. So please don't think that you've made the shift. There is no such thing as the shift. There is only the expansions every day, and there's only learning how to do that with grace by embodying those innate abilities so that you can make the shifts. You understand? There's only seeing yourself so powerfully so that you can go on that journey. So I want to make sure that's really clear. I have yet to feel any energetic shift. Sometimes this is discouraging. Okay. So when you go on this journey, oftentimes we have a projection of what we think the shift should feel like, and then we don't feel like that. And then we judge that we can't feel it. But I promise you that if I spent 5 minutes talking to you, you would get that you actually are witnessing the shifts and you do feel them. They just aren't what you think they look. They aren't what you think. It isn't how you think it looks. So now that I've said that, I'm going to invite you to start to look at how you see life and how you witness the world, and start to look at how that's changed, because that is you experiencing the shift. Even the fact that you can ask the question means that you're at a level that you can ask the question. So, and you cannot not shift if you're on this journey. You just cannot not, right? So the next question, someone is asking about all the different, the frackers and the Monsantos and all that, who are fracking the planet or GMOing the planet or whatever. Do we try to stop them? And the answer to that is no. What you do is you be yourself, and you embody yourself, and you embody your innate abilities, because if you do, you'll affect hundreds of thousands of people just through your beingness. Because an embodied human being emanates miles. An embodied human being, one conversation through 12 degrees of separation, ends up affecting the same way Jesus did. That's what's possible. Also, following your instinct about what to buy and where to go and how to spend your money is a very in a body, on a planet way to do it. But it is changing. I promise you it is changing. I think some of these questions I think I'm already answering. I'm going to go to the phones now for our last 3 questions. So over there in Houston, Texas, who is this? Hi there, you might be on mute. Who's over there in Houston, Texas? Okay, I'm going to wait for you to come back and it'll be good. And then who's in the 559 area code? I think we're back to Fresno. Hi there. Hi, who's this?
It's Katie again.
Hi, Katie. What's the question?
Hey, first of all, I wanted to say we're talking about anxiety before, and I really felt like I needed to share that I totally agree with you. Sometimes when you get that anxiety, it's your body remembering something that was bad, and it is just doing it like it's preparing you, even though it's not really going to happen. But quite frequently, what happens with me is when I feel really bad anxiety like that, something really bad is happening somewhere. Someone I know, or to someone in the community I live in.
Totally. Now, here's the thing of thank you for mentioning that. And a lot of people will be feeling that way too, Katie, totally. So here's the thing about that, okay, my love? That a lot of times when we've had not so hot things happen in our childhood, like things that are perceptively dangerous or not so hot, or they were creepy, or they were harmful, hurtful, whatever, we witnessed something like that, the message we told our body, and I mean that like really for real, what we told our body is we said, it's really important to watch out for these things because I never want that to happen to me again. So we go on a red alert. And there's a few things I want to say about this. We turn all our telomeres outward and we stop listening inward. Like we stop listening to who we are and why we're here. Because when our survival is at stake, perceptively, so what it starts to expand out to our survival as a species, our survival, it's not just your survival, now it's everyone's survival. So we start picking up everything that's in challenge to survival in general, when really it doesn't really serve for us to know that stuff, right? It's not productive. Now, sometimes it is. But the cool thing I want to say is you guys are driving the BMW, okay? You're driving the Ferrari. You do not have to continue to pick up on every little thing within a 12-mile radius. It was, I'm telling you, it was a decision from long ago that had you pick up on lots of things. And people say that I'm very empathic. Well, actually, more accurately, your senses are turned outward as a protective mechanism that really is taking you out of the game, and you get to say how much longer that continues. So it's one that may not pertain to you, Katie, but I just want to say that to everyone who knows that they've called themselves empathic and they've turned their feelings outwards. Do you know what I mean? And what happens is you pick up on every little thing, but it takes you out of the game every time. Well, how does that serve consciousness or awakening? It doesn't serve at all.
Right.
Right? Because you get completely ungrounded every time it happens.
Yeah, horribly, yeah.
Right. So the thing is, so you get to say, and again, there's lots of, I mean, we get to look at what happened and get to understand what happened when we were little that would have us very rationally and understandably want to protect ourselves by feeling every little thing coming so we don't get hurt again. That is totally understandable. But the cool thing, so hear this, Katie, okay, with your heart like wide open, like every cell of your body, like you've been asking for decades to hear this, okay? Like I just so want you to hear this. Do you know that everything that happened to anyone, where the protective mechanism was to feel everything coming, whether it was for you or anyone else, the coolest thing about you is that when you decide that you really tell your body, it's like, no, I don't need to do that anymore, because you have integrated a deep hurt and you're like a metaphor for the world at large. And as you realize your power to actually shift a world such that the environment of the world would no longer be a place where anyone would even want to hurt anyone else, you actually, as you shift that within you and you realize your power to not be afraid anymore, as you realize your own innate abilities and your ability to experience the world with love no matter what that person over there is doing, and you get to change the energy of any situation, and you see that innate ability embodying, as you realize that you are not a victim of anything and you don't need to ever again be. And as you embody that, you change all of consciousness for every little girl or little boy that ever had something frightening or will have something frightening happen to them, by actually embodying the abilities to transcend that yourself. So the full circle is the courage to no longer need to feel every little thing, and to take all of that energy and simply become the person that gets to change it. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. I'll have to sit with it for a while, but I like that.
Yeah, it's one that takes a little integration, but it's so special because it's a privilege. It's like that's what you came here for. Like, why the hell do you think all that stuff happened?
Saying in those moments of terror, vulnerability, and all that's happening, is in that moment you can just recognize basically yourself as who you really are, and that you don't have to. That's just basically a learned behavior. And
In the moment, you can do that, but I want to say this to you, Katie. Our work is not to tell you to do that because that's a very mental exercise. I'm not into mental exercises. I'm into actually helping you integrate yourself so powerfully by being seen and by integrating your innate abilities, like literally having an experience of your expanded self and going on the journey of integrating those things that your default level of being would have you never be afraid again anyways. You just wouldn't have to use I don't want to have to teach people tools. It's exhausting.
and when you talk about, because you say innate ability so much, and I just want to make sure that I understand, are you talking about innate abilities like just your essence as the soul?
No, I'm not. I am literally talking about multidimensional science. I'm talking about 12 strands of DNA that contain 24 individual codes that are intertwined with each other, that comprise the instructions for your abilities to see energy, your abilities to move the energy of the masses, your ability to find the Jesus compassionate heart no matter what the situation, your ability to commune with nature in a way that you embody that level of harmony and expansion and abundance, your ability to embody the miracle zone and have manifestation just be the way you are rather than something you intend. These are actual abilities that are innate to human beings that have laid dormant in these encodements that people have dribs and drabs of, especially the people that we work with have dribs and drabs of. But it is not some, oh, okay, I'm going to sit and meditate and remember who I am. It's literally multidimensional action to integrate with those innate abilities. That is a process that is part of the reason why I'm on the planet, to teach people, not to teach people, to actually have them do it, like to integrate them on the fast track. So no, it is not anything anyone really, I don't know anyone else that's doing that. So it's very unique to my little world here. And it's only a piece of the puzzle. So
It's not your soul essence. It's not your
no,
you were born with.
No.
Down.
You are born with it. It's just it's like a muscle you have. It's like a limb you haven't been using. That's why you have junk and DNA that looks like it's not doing anything, because it's connected to those innate abilities which lie in the multi-dimensions. So it is not any of those things. Remember at the beginning I said I want you to let go of everything that we always try to compare what people are talking about to something we already know, right? It's like natural. We're trying to get a reference point.
Right.
There literally is no reference point for this. I'm actually telling you something that has no reference point. Right? It is. They are abilities that are being like literally they're being studied in Russia. They just discovered there are 12 strands of DNA, right, in the 3 dimensions and in other dimensions. And now they're looking at them, and because it's a thing. It literally is a thing. And there's a way of integrating each of them, which many of us have natural propensities for, but to integrate all of them is to be a fully integrated human being. Like, you are ready to rock. You are like, there's just nothing that could take you off track. It changes your default beingness. You know what I mean? So, and the beginning of that journey is basically get out of your own way, because then you start to see it. You can see it the way I see it. And then it's integrating those innate abilities from the place of being seen and understanding who you really are. So it's like, it's no joke. It definitely isn't it has no reference point. That's all I can tell you. It has no reference point to anything else that's being done. It has, other people are doing nuances of it, but this is actually a thing unto itself. It's kind of like helping humans to become whole and complete as our Creator saw us to be in the first place, so that we no longer give our power away to those that say that they are the connection to creation. They aren't. We are. And as we embody our innate abilities, we connect to every other dimension there is, and we're able to live in direct connection to consciousness. We don't need conduits. We become the conduit. We are the guru. And all we want to do is play with each other because we've embodied all those abilities that I've just mentioned. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Katie, thank you for asking that question. I'm almost positive you asked it for like the majority of people listening. I really appreciate that.
Good.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Thank you. All right. And I think it's Carolyn over in Kitchener, so take yourself off mute, girl. I'm coming over. Okay, hold on. Trish is asking, Jen, when money isn't flowing to enable us to purchase the courses and adventures you offer to facilitate our reawakening, what are we meant to do? Listen to the radio shows. Listen to this call over and over and over again. Come to the free evening events, Trish. We do evening, well, they're not free, but they're I think they're $30. Come to the evening events. Just come to what you can, and it will assist you to embody. That's why we do all that other stuff. No, it's not the same as the programs, but I promise you get the energy of it. You will be activated and you will leave different, right? So that's how you play, and I really appreciate you asking that, Trish, because everyone is at different places, and I completely get it, right? So totally get it, girlfriend. So thanks for asking that question too. And bring friends, bring friends to the evening events so that you're not alone. That's the other thing. As you have friends that understand consciousness differently as well, then you're not alone as well. So don't come alone. Come with people so that, even if you or they don't take it, maybe one of them will take it and they'll come back and tell you all about it and you'll have a little deeper experience. I don't know, right? So, Carolyn, I think in Waterloo. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, what's your question, girlfriend?
I'm not exactly sure if my telomeres were talking to me. Grateful that you're doing this, but I had a moment on January 5th when I was at work, and I really thought I was coming down with the flu.
Uh-huh.
And by 10 o'clock, I was actually talking to my body.
Yes.
Sure if that was my telomeres.
Well, here's the thing. You cannot not, your telomeres are talking to consciousness always. Any communication you have or wish you have beyond what you say with your mouth or think with your head, the communications you have are being heard and sent to and from your telomeres, whether you know they are or understand they are or not. It is happening. It's without question. It's not up for question. It is. So no matter what, that is what's happening. It's a scientific is. Okay? So the question is, are we present to it or not? And so that's more what you want to ask is, I don't think I was really present to it. It might have been happening, but I don't think I was really present to it, right?
It was more of a feeling and slightly a knowing, because by 11:30 I knew I was sick, and I thought, if that was my telomeres talking to me, how come I don't know why I've got redness in my eyes, and how do I commune in order to find out what that is?
That's not your telomeres talking to you. That's your body translating infinite wisdom. Somehow you were off, or you were, when we get sick, there's something going on. There's something else going on. The other day, I got sick for 8 hours. Really bad. Really bad. And it was because I was carrying a whole slew of things. I was carrying stuff about money. I was carrying stuff about my sweetie. I was like, oh my God, I never do this. What the hell? I never even get sick. And I knew something was up. And there's a process that we teach, and we went through the process, and Adam kept asking me questions and asking me questions. And before long, I'm like, oh, that's what it is. And within, I would say, I don't know, 20 minutes, it was gone.
Oh.
So it's like what happens is it's our cells. When we have a physical 3D illness, that's your cells talking to you, telling you that there's just something moving through you, or you're entangled with something, or you're carrying something, or you're worried about something, and they're redirecting you away from worrying about it or carrying it. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think so. So I went through the bit of the flu, but my eyes are still bothering me.
Yes.
So they're bringing awareness to the redness of my eyes.
No. They're bringing awareness to something that you're resisting or worrying about.
Oh, crap.
So you got to look at what you're worrying about, or something you're resisting, or if you're carrying stuff about money, or you're carrying stuff about someone you love, or you don't really want to see the truth of something. It's not so linear as, let's say, the Louise Hay stuff that would say it's something you don't want to see. It's not like that. It's deeper. It's complex and yet simple when you see it. When you see it, it's like, oh my God, of course, doy.
I think I know what it is.
Perfect. There you go, girlfriend. That's all it takes.
I know what it is.
You go, girl. Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you know what? You don't need to carry that.
I know.
It's not yours, Bunny Rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mwah.
Very much.
Okay. And last but not least, Randy, how appropriate you get to finish off tonight, unless anyone else has questions. So, Randy, this is going to be the last question you got. This is the last question we're going to take tonight. And Rob, thanks for sticking with us for so long, our technical person, and everyone. Oh my God, thank you. I'm going to do a final activation when we're through here, just for like a minute or two, and just to close this up. And please, please just know that I am so grateful. And yes, Randy, I hear you. What's your question, dude?
Okay, so I have a physical sense when I'm doing soul integration where it's like I'm bringing an orb down into the body.
Right.
I feel that. I get into the still point. I feel the expansiveness of the still point. Now, if I'm bringing in a higher self or ascended master or angelic realm presence,
yeah,
say they're all one. I'm trying. That's a lot for the mind, but here I am. I'm bringing it in. I'm bringing it in. Is there any differentiation between my higher self and bringing my soul into my body and bringing in these ascended masters and other cosmic essences?
Well, can I ask again, just to be my pain in the butt self, right? Can I offer that we could ask an even deeper question?
Yes, please.
Is it even important to differentiate? Does the mind even have to know the differentiation? Or can we just, right? Or can we just say, all right, higher levels, whichever higher levels we're talking about, and I don't even know which ones, show me. Just flip and show me. You with me?
So then as we're bringing this in, and we get to that point where it's so expansive, is there a reason to try to maintain that as we experience others in the world?
Is there when you embody your innate abilities, those 24 innate abilities, right? When you actually integrate, okay, so let me talk about embodiment. Embodiment means that your biology is actually upgraded to capacitate each of those individual innate abilities such that it becomes, the other dimension becomes one with you. You and it are not differentiated anymore. You are embodied with it. It is intricately interwoven into the fabric of your beingness, such that the other dimensionality and this third dimensionality are dancing together directly. So in that way, the ultimate goal for humanity is not actually to, the ultimate goal for all of us is not actually to think about this anymore. It's to be so embodied with it that I would never have to teach an innate, like my goal is to make it so that innate abilities doesn't even have to be taught. It's really, if I was to do this properly or to do it the way I'm being asked, I would work my way out of a job. I would find all the leaders, assist them to embody their innate abilities on the fast track. And they would be embodied, and we wouldn't have to talk about this anymore because you wouldn't distinguish them as out there. And we wouldn't have to intellectually understand them anymore because they wouldn't be intellectually understandable. They would just be part of you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so and I know that you just got the innate abilities, Randy. So you're gonna be having, oh my God, I cannot wait to get those comments from you.
There's still the in-breath and the out-breath.
The in-breath and the out-breath, but that's all 3D stuff. That's all awesome 3D experience. It's awesome. But then there's the multi-dimensional in-breath of photon packages of light and out-breath of photon packages of light. In-breath of guidance coming in and out-breath of guidance going out. In-breath of, you see what I'm saying? It's like all a dance. It's all a dance. And when you're fully integrated, it's like all this awesome dance. It's like everything is fluid. It's fun. You know, and just really, you don't even, I mean, judgment becomes irrelevant. It just, everything is, actually, I gotta tell you, everything's pretty funny.
And celebrating and honoring and being grateful for the diversity, it leads me to oneness.
It leaves us in, yeah, that is what connects us all, is the celebration of the uniqueness of each individual on the planet. That's what connects us all. We are not one. We are individual expressions of God because the universe wanted us to be individual expressions. We aren't one in 3D. In 3D, we can dance as a unit if we understand that part of the journey is the individual uniqueness. That's what creation wanted, because in order to create upon itself, half the fun was having a whole bunch of differences to cause enough contrast to launch and catalyze new ideas to expand consciousness, right? So it wasn't designed in 3D for us to be one. It's designed in 3D for us to be unique. But where we connect, where we all connect, is in that place, in our universalis place, in the other dimensions of ourselves. But we're dancing together as unique beings in this dimension. As long as we can remember, and by the way, that dimension of DNA is a 12th dimension with the 23rd and 24th innate abilities. As we integrate those, you can't even experience people as, you're not even interested in talking about oneness because you just know that we're all connected. It's like a oneness conversation is so behind what we're talking. It's like it's not in the realm of what we're talking about here. It's assumed. It's like doy, like duh, yeah, of course. On one level we are. But now let's get on with why we're here. Let's dance with all creation. Let's play with all that is. Let's go. Let's lean in. That's nice. We're one. I got it. It's good. I got it. But now I've got innate abilities, and it is time to rock and roll now that we all have the same understanding. You get what I'm saying?
Divine love and infinite gratitude is about all there is to say at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty. Randy, always love your questions. I'm deeply appreciative of you. Just so divinely appreciative. So, just a big hug. Big bear hug. Okay, you guys. Awesome night. Again, I'm going to stay. If any of you have any questions, please let me know. But again, I welcome you to go to www.thewideawakening.com. Please check out wideawakening.com/Awakening Alchemist Workshop or /Love Awakening. And for sure, go to our website and put yourself onto the page where Get Out of Your Own Way is and have a look at thewideawakening.com. And finally, for the select few that are up for the journey of a lifetime, traveling around the world and having me dedicated to you for 6 months, thewideawakening.com/flight school. It is the ultimate journey in experiencing all of who you are and getting on with why you came here on the fast track. So even sign up for a discovery session and we'll have that conversation. All right. So here we go, you guys. The final activation of the night. You ready? Here we go. And I just want to... All right, gorgeouses. And Sarah's just saying, sometimes I just make fun of the whole thing. And Sarah is saying, very interesting. He's done a lot. Someone's done a lot of research. I'm not sure who you were talking about, but my divining rod is my heart. That's so cool, Sarah, and you should always use that. Yeah, and Sarah, I will definitely double what you said. Okay, here's the doubling. There is no the truth. Please, for goodness sakes, do not stifle your life and stifle the natural trajectory of your life by going on a journey of getting the capital T truth. Consciousness is constantly expanding upon itself, which means that our ability to experience life is constantly expanding on itself. We are loved so much that our biology is shifting and evolving to be able to, just like, Darwin. Darwin was wrong and right, and there were all sorts of concepts in there that were beautiful, and one of them is that we adapt to our environment, and guess what? The multidimensional environment is shifting. We are no longer willing to put up with a world that compassion does not exist, or someone gets to have power over us, or someone else gets to say how our life goes. We are in a world where, even though we have no idea, I just posted the from Finding Nemo, swimming, 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 just keep swimming, swimming. It's one of those things where we don't really understand why we're so called to integrate with ourselves, to be seen, to embody and our innate abilities. We're on this journey that we're not even sure how it's going to affect the change that we can imagine. But I want you to know, just keep swimming. I mean, just keep swimming. Because I have seen things happen that I would have perceived were impossible, including my father coming around. I have seen love happen in my life that I had pretty much given up on. I have seen people who had judged me from the religious right actually come and take our courses. I've seen ministers take the programs that we're doing, and they're all astounded. And I have to tell you that, my friends, is what your courage to remember who you are is affecting in the world. You're changing the environment, the water in which everybody swims. Now listen closely, I want you to feel this. You are retroactively shifting the world of those who will come forth into their next life that caused you the most pain in this life. And the greatest act of love that you are going to give them is to allow yourself to be seen, to transcend all the identities, as we do and get out of your own way on the fast track, to integrate with the truth of who you are and all of those multidimensional biological innate abilities, to operate from a place where you really are dancing with all of it without judgment of any of it, without worrying about the judgment of anyone else. And not because I'm telling you. As I told Katie before, and I appreciate the question so much, Katie, this is not an instructional program tonight. This is a program of activating inside you what's possible. The experiences that TWA takes people on is a fast-tracked experience with very unique technology to bring forth all of you without going through the processes. It's transcendent. No matter what you do with your life, I love what Sarah said. Your heart is the truth meter. You'll know. Don't listen to your head rationalizing anything. If I listened to my head rationalizing about my sweetie, I would never be with him. If I listened to my head rationalizing about this work, I certainly wouldn't be doing it. You are potential waiting to land as creation creating upon creation. You are the universe's good idea. Your starseed ancestors gave you innate abilities that are real multidimensional genetic realities. Those realities will integrate over the next 30 years anyways, without ever working with us. But for those that are leading the change, our work is to see you as they do. Our work is to integrate those things so that you are activators and leaders of other people integrating those things. Know that there is no mistake that you're listening to this right now. There's no mistake that I have the privilege of dancing with you right now. And know that none of us were a mistake because the universe got us here in the first place. And all of your collective higher levels adore you. You cannot get this lifetime wrong because they will redirect you through such tremendous discomfort, you won't even believe it. They love you so much they don't even care if you judge the discomfort because they're trying to bring you back around to yourself. So, I adore you. I love you. They love you. Life loves you. The trees love you. After all, they're breathing out what you're breathing in. How much love do you want? And all I can say is lean in and let's go. All right, you guys. Lots of hugs, lots of love, big smushies. Thanks for being on our free quantum wake-up call. Spread the call around. We appreciate that so much. Just to get the message way out there, and hugs and hugs and hugs all around. I'm going to open up the lines of, I'm going to just open up the lines here on Instant Tell Seminar. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Big hugs. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye. Good night, everyone.